on a turn.
Okay,
Luckily,
shift
it's lit.
your hand. And it looks like Jonathan's just signed on. And Kevin just signed on.
Okay. Bring him on. Kevin, Jonathan.
Hey, Kevin, are you able to give a EULA update on the lawsuit, or shall I?
I don't have the information in front of me.
All
If you
right,
have
I'll just throw it out there and you can add whatever you want.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, Shannon, trying to get you to panelists, and Jonathan also.
On the EULA thing, it's on the agenda, it's under planning. Do you want to have that under governmental affairs?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and start.
You want to do it?
I mean, I'll
Okay.
comment either way, but it doesn't matter. You keep it, Ren. Let it be yours.
We're gonna start the
Yeah.
meeting. It's 7:03 p.m. Welcome everybody, and we'll do roll. Do I see Robin Allen?
Yes, I'm here.
Arthur, I don't see Arthur yet. I texted him, hopefully he'll be here. Lewis, I see you. Say hi.
Here. Hello.
Shannon.
Oh,
I know
she
you're
said,
here.
how do I speak? I think she phoned in. So I think
What are you doing?
star.
Her video's up. Her video's up though.
There she is. But I don't know if, are you muted, Shannon?
It says she's not.
Okay, she
Must
is
be on her
here.
phone. All right. Ren's here. Ren, you're here?
Yes.
Great. Fred.
Here.
Matt.
Yep.
Yep, there you are. Lee Jameson, I know you're here.
97.
Good. Joanna Hayes. Oops, ouch.
Ouch.
Who is that? Okay.
Yeah, he's
Susanna.
I'm
Here you
here.
are.
I'm here. Sorry.
And Jonathan.
Here.
Tess.
Here.
Great. Kevin Dees.
Here.
Good. Sean. I know you're here. Saw you earlier. Hi, there you are. And
There.
Jake. Triple check for Jake. Not yet. Okay. Good. We can move forward. Welcome everybody. And we had kind of an exciting week last week with the city council. And I wanted to thank Tess and Jonathan for their work on pushing 4118, which got us some citywide attention last week. And that was very exciting. I'm sure Tess will go into that more in GAC later on this evening. And I wanted to just go through real quick. Let me see if I can screen share. Let me see. Yeah. Where do I screen share? Screen share. Okay. Well, I'll have your attention. Entire screen. I'll be right back. I think I'm doing this right. You guys see this? You following me?
no,
Okay. What do you see me?
we see the
Oh,
gallery.
maybe it's just delayed.
It's
Oh, no,
gallery view.
it's just delayed. Okay. It's probably just delayed. Let me know. Do you see this?
Still same.
No,
Might just be delayed. Nope. Okay. Sorry, guys.
you
We've
push
done
the
this before.
screen share button on your
Oh, here
computer.
it is. Okay. Share. Okay.
There you
There we
go.
go.
There it is.
There we go. Okay. I just want to talk briefly. I feel that we've been doing a better job at our meetings and a little more efficient. We've been a little more efficient recently. Please, everyone else mute. But I want to go back real quickly about civility and decorum. And we've had a little discussion about this in our previous meetings.
Wait, hang on,
Can everyone
Colby.
mute, please? Thank you. I think we've got the mute done. So can everyone see that screen?
Yes.
Code of civility? Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody
okay.
needs to put themselves on mute.
I think it's me.
It's Shannon, yeah, it's
Oh,
Shannon.
sorry. Okay. I'm doing it from my phone. Sorry. Let me figure this out. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is from our bylaws, and I just wanted to just talk about, and we, I've had some in the previous months. I've had some feedback from stakeholders about our meetings sometimes going a little off the rails, and so I just wanted to touch base on and kind of recenter ourselves with our bylaws, and also Rosenberg's Rules of Order, which basically is a foundation of our bylaws. It's for the safety net. If our bylaws don't cover something, Rosenberg's Rules of Order do. And I just have 3 or 4 little screen grabs here I want to share with you. Basically, as you can see, a council and its representatives and all stakeholders shall conduct by all council business in a civil, professional, and respectful manner, of course. And any individual who's disruptive at an official council function may be removed pursuant to the Brown Act. So that's nothing really new. And then anything else, as I just said, that isn't covered in our bylaws is covered, as you can see here. I don't know if you can see that. The council and its committees shall use the Rosenberg's Rules of Order when conducting meetings. So that's essentially, if there's some question in our bylaws and there's no way to answer it through our bylaws, and if it's about order and decorum, it falls under Rosenberg's Rules of Order. And of course, beyond that, it can even go to Robert's Rules beyond that. And I looked up Rosenberg's Rules of Order, as you can see here. I like their graphic; it's very, very official looking. And I found some kind of interesting stuff. As you see in the underlined sections, I'll expand this. It's a little blurry, but I think you guys can see it. It is always best for every speaker to be first recognized by the chair before proceeding to speak. And the chair has the right to cut off discussion that is too personal, is too loud, or is too crude. And finally, in the interest of time, the chair may, however, limit the time allotted to speakers, including members of the body. So, and then I have 1 more or 2 more kind of on top of that about time and meetings. This is a motion to limit debate. So as you see in the underlined section, the motion to limit debate requires a 2/3 vote of the body. A motion to limit debate could include a time limit. For example, I move to limit debate to this agenda item for 15 minutes. So this is sort of a stopgap to keep us from, we've had some endless loops, I believe, in the past, beating dead horses and things like that. Not recently, but way back when. And I just want to make sure we stay on track. And then finally, this is the last screen share I want to show you. There are exceptions to the general rule of free and open debate on motions. The exceptions all apply when there is a desire for the body to move on. And we'll skip down to the bottom. Motion to fix the time to adjourn. This motion, if passed, requires the body to adjourn the meeting at the specific time set in the motion. So to boil this down, I'll come back for air from you here. Here we are. I just want everyone to know the kind of deeper mechanics of the rules that we're all abiding by and keeping us on track. Again, I think we've been doing a good job lately, and I'm very happy with the way people are conducting business. But I found this a month or 2 ago, and I guess our last couple meetings have been very busy, and I just wanted to share that with you briefly and move forward. Anyway, we will go on from here to open public forum.
And Colby, you may want to stop screen sharing. Just turn off your share.
Oh, thank you. Unless anyone has a comment on what I just mentioned, if you're welcome to comment on that. I see a hand raised in the attendees box. Yes. Joanne.
Yeah, no, I don't have a comment based on what you just said. I just, when you do public comments, I thought I'm raising my hand for public comments.
Okay, great. We'll be there in a second. I'll put you up first.
Thank you.
For public. Bye-bye. Okay, so any comments? If not, we're going to move on to public comment and Joanne.
Colby,
Okay.
is it number 1 to approve?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Thanks, Jonathan. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry about that. Motion A, approve the GTLNC January 15th, 2023 General Board minutes. Do I have a first on this?
Robin,
Thanks, Robin. Second?
Jonathan.
Jonathan? Discussion.
Just for notes, I did receive some spelling corrections and one point to add to comments that Tess made that are going to be in the amended minutes. So I did fix those errors, Tess. So thank you for that email.
You're welcome.
Very good. Any other comments? I see, who is that? Jonathan Gregory.
Thank you. Louis, I thought you did such a good job in these minutes that you even captured what I thought was a very confused conversation. You captured the confusion in your minutes. And that was when there were two parallel conversations going on about NPG and a non-NPG. And the discussion led into whether an NPG needs to be fully funded. And so there was literally, if you read your minutes, it copied the conversation because some people were talking about an MPG and some people weren't. And it shows that you captured it beautifully, the confusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Any other comments on the minutes? If not, we'll go to a vote.
okay, you need to read the motion first.
Yeah, I am. Motion A, approve the GTLNC January 15, 2023 General Board minutes as amended. Robin.
Yes.
Arthur, are you here?
He's here. Yes,
he
he
is here.
is.
Okay, let me bring him on. How are you, Arthur? Okay. When was Arthur, did anyone notice when Arthur jumped on the meeting?
I just noticed him at 7:13.
I'll add it.
Arthur, you
Thanks, guys.
hear the discussion during the discussion of the minutes? We'll come back. Okay, Lewis,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lee,
Affirmative.
Dana,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Tess,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin here? Good, he's here. Sean,
Yes.
I know you're here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay.
Jake, are you here yet?
I don't see him.
Okay, Jake isn't here, and let's go back to Arthur.
Yes.
Yes, so I have, and me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yeses.
Perfect. Motion passes.
Sure. Perfect. Okay, I did my president's welcome. Now we'll go into open public forum with Joanne at first. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, I just want to discuss the Lee Jameson situation. He was overwhelmingly elected, and seated. And at a time when he ran and was elected, you guys had a 10-year situation where he knows that was his last time at bat until he could run 8 years. And you would think that would be going forward, not backwards, but you guys went backwards and have been trying to remove him twice. We've had to intervene with the city attorney, and thankfully both times he was reinstated. Because the concern I have at the they really want to get rid of, all they have to do is change their standing rules, for how many years a person can serve. Oh, we don't like you. Oh, you've been here 7 years. We change the rule. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I am not accusing you of that. I'm just saying the abuse that could happen. When you go retro, is to say, oh, we don't like you, so we change it to 7 years, and then we go get you out. That's what it's very
Hey, Colby,
we're having-
I cannot get a answer from anyone. Sorry?
We're
Whether or not
getting a
you're gonna-
distorted sound, Joanne.
Oh, I don't know why. Okay,
That's better.
okay, so I am asking, he only has to leave, at June is their re-elections. He knows he wouldn't have been able to run again anyway for another 2 years. So I just am asking for fairness and decency to allow him to finish the term. That, remember, the stakeholders overwhelmed. If you look at I think it was like 14 people ran, he got like 100 out of 150 votes. The people voted him, they put him there, and let the stakeholders have what they voted for, rather than a council trying to, whatever it is you're trying to do. And I'm not saying there's any malfeasance or anything, whatever. I'm not saying that. But in the interest of fairness, it's not fair to go retro. I'm asking, when you have these rules, to please go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. That is 100% in the hands of the city attorney, and we have no control over that. Any other stakeholders? Public comment? I don't see any.
I don't see any.
All right, thank you. We'll move forward to city news, neighborhood news and announcements. I see Officer Delbar. Hi, Curtis.
Hey, everyone.
Hello. It's great seeing you today on the street.
Yep, just walking on Riverside Drive. I was visiting Pergolinas due to the recent incident they had.
Oh, is that what that was? That's broken window?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, go into your report. It'll be covered.
Yes. So, real quick, I'll go over some quick crime stats. Again, I'm gonna do 2022 versus 2023. So I'll give you 2022 first, and then 2023 after that, as far as numbers go. So for homicides, 2022 is 1, 2023 is 0. For rapes, 2022 is 4, 2023 is 0. For robberies, 2022 is 18, and 2023 is 23. Oh, yes. Sorry, correction. 2022 is 7, and 2023 is 4. For assaults, 2022 is 18, and 2023 is 23. And for burglaries, we have 25 versus 23. For grand theft autos, we have 28 versus 22. For burglary from motor vehicles, we have 54 versus 42. And for thefts, we have 34 versus 27. So literally, we're seeing about a minimum of a 20% decrease in almost all crimes across the board, except for assaults. And I think that's pretty noticeable, literally across the board. The other thing I wanted to mention is we're still seeing some catalytic converter thefts. I've gotten a few emails about these. I've talked to a few of the neighborhoods all over this area about it. It's a hard issue, which brings me to my next subject, is that there is an etching coming up on March 11th. And I'm sure it was posted on Nextdoor as a community alert. It's going to be held at the Scientology parking lot on March 11th between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And again, this is a free event. The way to RSVP is to scan the QR code, so you can RSVP for the event, and spots do fill up rather quickly.
What was the date again on that?
It's going to be March 11th.
Thanks, sir.
That was really the main thing I wanted to harp on, is the catalytic converters and the etching event that we are doing. And then the burglary that happened over on Riverside. It happened about 2 a.m. And some items were taken, glass was broken. Luckily, the owner of the shop is in good spirits and doing okay right now. Owner is very frustrated, but they are in good spirits. And that's about all I had to report on, unless there's any questions, if I'm able to do that.
Robin has her hand raised.
Yeah.
Yes, let me lower my hand. Hi, Curtis.
Hey, Robin.
So those 2 catalytic converter thefts were very close to each other, and I think the same weekend. And I got a report that not only is it an issue to have your catalytic converter stolen, but apparently there's a backlog of trying to get catalytic converters. So it's even an issue with you trying to get a new one to replace yours. My question is, I know that they can etch these. Now, I have never gotten under my car and looked at a catalytic converter. I don't even know what it looks like. And if I was in need of a catalytic converter and somebody had access to one and it might be hot, I'm not saying I would do this, But even if it was etched and I needed a catalytic converter, I would imagine there are a lot of people that might consider even taking ones that are not necessarily legitimate just to get one. So I'm wondering how the etching actually would deter somebody from selling the catalytic converter in the first place, and then somebody buying it on the secondhand market. I understand that the need to do that, but I don't know how that actually helps.
So it helps in the deterrent way when our detectives do investigations and recover catalytic converters, say ones that have not been installed and not been used yet, we can know where they belong and where they came from.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I don't see any. Officer Delbar, so like once somebody has started hacking off a catalytic converter, they're not going to know it's etched until I would think until they remove the catalytic converter. And at that time, I'd imagine that they would just continue, stealing it. You know what I mean? Is there a sticker on the car that can say this catalytic converter has been, traced or is traceable or something like that? Or
I don't believe that.
Once you get on the car, it's dark at night. They're hacking, with a hacksaw on this thing. I don't think they'd even know.
And it only takes 2 minutes to take one.
Well, hold on. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I don't think we don't have any stickers, but it doesn't stop you guys from putting a sticker on saying that it has been etched. A lot of times it also helps with us recovering them when we are investigating certain places or shops that do have those.
Okay. All right. I saw Jonathan and then Kevin from the board, and then we'll move on to stakeholders. Hi, Jonathan.
Thank you, Curtis. Curtis, you mentioned in your statistics you're comparing 2023 with 2022. Is that right? So I'm wondering, yes. One is 12 months and one is maybe 1 or not 2 months even. How does that work?
No, it's year to date. So this time at 2022 compared to this time at 2023.
Got it. Thank you.
And then Kevin Dees.
Hey, Officer Delbar, what level of offense is it if you end up catching one of these people that are stealing one of these?
Is
there a dollar figure or something?
Yeah, it's a theft. So it depends on the dollar amount of the catalytic converter. But from what I can tell, depending on the amount, they're pretty expensive. So it's going to be a felony.
Got it. Thanks.
I guess that leads me to another question I had earlier for you, Officer Delbar. The thefts or burglaries you reported, or the thefts, let's say, are thefts below $950 reportable in your statistics?
Yes.
Okay, so that's everything. Even if someone stole $25 item.
Correct.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the board? If not, we'll move on to stakeholders. All right, we'll move on to stakeholders. Joanne. Joanne, you're muted. Please unmute.
Hi, Officer Delbar. I'm just, I was told that because of, I guess, environmental rules, that if you need a catalytic converter, it can be like 2,000 or something, that there's almost like a scam that it's cheaper to remove your catalytic converter and have your insurance replace it for a $500 deductible, you know what I mean, rather than paying the 2,000. And I'm wondering if, is this something that's going on across the whole country, or is that a possibility that it is because of the environmental protections where it costs 2,000, that is more centric to California because of those rules? I'm just curious. Thank you.
These thefts are going across the country, and it's all over the place right now.
Any other questions? If not, we'll release Officer Delbar so we can go back out and keep protecting us. Thank you, Officer Delbar. We really appreciate it. It was great seeing you again today.
Thanks, everybody. It was nice seeing everyone.
Thank you, Curtis.
Good evening. Next up, let me see who else we have. We don't have, let's see, I'm looking. Robin, help me out if you see someone.
Yeah, I don't. I just looked at
CD2. I don't even see Erica tonight.
No.
From Dunn.
No.
If you're, okay, so please raise your hand if you're in city news and announcements.
Oh, and Jake just signed on. It's 7:26 and Jake just signed on.
All right, let me bring him on. Okay, so if you are on the city neighborhood news announcements, please raise your hand. If not, we're going to move forward to exec committee. All right. We don't have many people. Okay. We will move on to executive committee. Oh,
Colby,
Tess.
West Toluca Lake always gets forgotten. We've got
I know,
Jill
but they don't raise
Young-Nanson
they
here.
got to raise their hand, Tess. No
Well,
one's raising.
okay, well, I'm
That's-
sure she's trying.
Okay. Jill, okay. They just gotta. I'm not trying to push anyone out. I just have asked so many times. Okay. Hi, Jill.
Jill?
Okay, technical glitches here. Slow at the hand raising, slow at the end, but I am here and have been enjoying the meeting. And Sophie, I think I saw you on television.
Oh, I did. That was Tess's doing. Yes.
Okay.
We'll get to that later.
I'm the parent. So, good evening. I'm Jill Young-Nanson. I'm a West Toluca Lake longtime resident, and just updating you on the goings on in our neck of the woods. Some old business that I know I mentioned last time. We had a lot of vandalism of our streetlights, people stealing the copper wire and reselling. And the Bureau of Street Lighting really responded to our pleas to restore lighting quickly, and they've nearly finished. So we're very grateful to them. They've sent out lovely crews who've restored our lighting. Very grateful. And I'm sure when you've gone down Vineland, more ongoing business, you've noticed that they're putting the finishing touches on the median. So the deodar cedars are really starting to grow. We're looking forward to them providing a buffer to freeway noise and pollution, and laid most of the groundwork for the sprinkler system. And going on with Colby, when you made the appearance last Wednesday's victory, and I know you all are following this, we've had support at City Hall for Resolution 4118, and that was sponsored by Paul Krikorian, who's the council president, and also council member Tim McCoster. And that, just to recap, is an authorization to remove encampments in 5 special enforcement zones that affect all of us, Greater Toluca Lake and West Toluca Lake. We're really grateful to the people in our neighborhood. We had 25 people turn out. And Doug Hamblin, I don't know if you guys saw it, spoke really eloquently in support of 4118. His wife, Clarice, who just passed away, was a criminal defense attorney who worked in the Department 95, the mental health department, as a public defender. So he had a very nuanced view, but yet was in support of 4118. West Toluca Lake also, participated in an emergency response training. So we're ready for emergencies, although we hope they don't strike. We were also represented by Tess downtown at the Budget Inquiry Committee, and they met with Mayor Karen Bass. And I guess everything went really well. And one thing I learned is Karen Bass is going to have nighttime meetings for citizens who have less flexible schedules. So she really wants to make herself available to all the citizens. Sponsoring another neighborhood cleanup, and that's actually the same day as the catalytic converter etching party. It's kind of like a barn raising and a coffee clutch mixed in one, and you don't have to be a West Toluca Lake resident. If you want to show up and have a continental breakfast and goodies, we're meeting March 11th at 9 a.m. We're also raising money with recyclables, so feel free to drop on by and bring your aluminum cans and plastic bottles. And our next West Toluca Lake Residents Association meeting is taking place Monday. It's March 27th at 6 p.m. And it's special because Shannon Callan, who is the new field deputy from Council District 2, will be meeting with us and discussing things. We usually have a great turnout of about 60 or 70 people. refreshments. It's very friendly and it's always informative. So if you need details on any of those events, please call 818-806-9844. That's 818-806-9844. Or you can email info.wtlra@gmail.com. That's info.wtlra@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you letting me speak.
Thanks, Jill. Oh, and let's see. I look forward to the West Loop Lake meeting, in-person meetings. The backyard meetings are a lot of fun. I do enjoy them.
Great.
Turnout. And Louis, can you, instead of TBD, can you put Jill Young Manson in that space?
Yes,
West Loop Lake?
absolutely.
That's why I didn't recognize it.
And Jill, updating that. And Jill, what was the date again? Was it March 27th or 17th for the meeting?
The meeting is Monday, March 27th.
Okay, I got it.
At 6. And then the cleanup, which is really just fun. It'd be fun if people came. We have a great turnout, but fun to hang out and meet you guys in person. It's March 11th at 9 a.m.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
Okay, going back to neighborhood news and announcements. Going down the list, I'm not making any matches right now, but please raise your hand if you're on the list. I don't see you, so we're going to move forward now to exec committee. Exec committee. I want my NPGs. Like last year, we did a great job distributing money, and I want to do another great job this year. And we're getting close, kind of close to the end of our fiscal year, end of our term here. So we don't have a lot more time. We have really it's March, April, May, and that's it. Maybe even less than that. So let's get those in. And then in-person meeting update. I sent everyone on the board a email, or actually Louis did from me. Thank you, Louis, for distributing that notice to everybody. If you were able to get through the whole letter, I applaud you for able to get through all that. Secondly, just to summarize it, I'm told that we're 2 steps away from in-person general board meetings. The first step, or the second to last step, will be a risk assessment approval from the city's risk assessment office, and finally a final sign off from the city attorney, who I'm becoming very good friends with, as you can probably tell. And that boils it down from what I told you. What we don't have yet, and what we really can't start pursuing, is the meetings for the committees in person. That's another issue. We haven't been assigned an ADA inspector. We have one meeting place that I have permission from the owner of that meeting place to meet there, and there might be alternative meeting places as well. So that's great, but the problem is that that we need, in order we function as a board after. Yes, I see 2 hands raised. We'll get to you in a second. So it looks like we'll be able to continue with the Zoom meetings up until the end of March, if, as you read in the letter, if Bonk approves that one final extension of the modification of the Brown Act, which allows us to teleconference. It's highly likely that Bonk will allow that. But once that happens, we only have those extra 30 days to have the Zoom meetings like we've been having all through, almost the last 3 years. So that's where we are now. We're doing everything. We've done everything we can do up to this point, and I'm pushing hard for those in-person meetings, which might be the only way we can conduct business. Actually, will be the only way we can conduct business April 1st and beyond. Hands raised. Who? I don't know. I'll go to Tess.
Tess first.
So Colby, you half answered my question, but and I believe Bonk may have voted on this today because I attended part of their meeting, but not all of it. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners.
They're going to vote on February 27th. Actually,
I beg your pardon.
We're going to vote on February 27th on this.
Well, it was discussed. I thought it was voted on today, but I didn't stay for the whole meeting, so I don't know for sure. Should I, for safety, assume that the Government Affairs Committee meeting on March 7th will be virtual?
Well, actually, I'll ask you, what was the temperature in the room when you
It seemed positive, but I wasn't able to stay for the vote.
Okay, well, I was told maybe they'd move the vote, but I was told it would be February 27th. I would, I would say it's 90% chance that it'll be fine. So one option I'm glad we're discussing this, one option that we could facilitate is, and Rob and I have discussed this, and I think you know about this too, would be to basically stack anyone who has a committee meeting that would take place in March. If you want to basically perform that committee meeting in late February on Zoom, you can do that. And since so as a precautionary measure, but let us know real soon. However, I don't think it's necessary.
But could we, I mean, whatever the vote is, could we still meet in March via Zoom for this our March meeting?
No. If Bonk for some reason decides not to allow the extension of the Brown Act and not to allow teleconferencing after March 1st, then essentially no committee meetings can meet, because we have not been approved for our in-person committee meeting place. We've only been
so then
been approved for our general board meeting place yet, because as I said,
it'll be for March Government Affairs Committee meeting. It'll be Zoom or nothing.
Correct, unless we're struck by a lightning bolt of.
Okay, that's all I need to know. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
So Colby, for exec and for public safety, we will schedule our Zoom meetings next Monday. So we will have agendas ready for next Monday to do a Zoom meeting just in case, so that we are prepared. If we meet in person, then no harm, no foul. We did it a week early, but we'd like to get our.
You won't be meeting in person about really no matter what for because we don't have a committee meeting place even on
Well, not a committee, but if we do them on Monday and Tuesday of next week, if we all stack our meetings, we then can hopefully meet live in person at the school in March.
Yes, because we're very close to getting our school
approved.
Our school meeting place approved. The school's approved it. LAUSD has approved it. We just need a risk assessment and the city to sign off on all the steps we've taken so far.
So if outreach, GAC, and planning meet either after public safety and exec or on Tuesday, then we can get all of our committee meetings done. And then that way we could have a live in-person meeting if they go ahead and vote on that.
If they go ahead, yes. The voting's already been done. For instance, yes, if Bonk, yes and no. You might be a little confused. So if committees perform their meetings in February that usually would take place in March, and so that way you've done your meeting for March, right? And you've set your, what you want, you've got your bullet points for us for our general board meeting. It's likely that we will be able to have an in-person general board meeting in March. Now, here's the thing. Actually, this is why you're slowing the other day, and Erica's not here, I don't think, but I believe if Bonk votes to extend the Brown Act teleconferencing modification, then actually I don't think we're allowed to meet in person, even if we have approval to meet in person as a general board in March. I know it's very confusing. Just kind of keep following along, but
what happens if we don't all have our committee meetings? We get to March 1st. They say we have to meet in person, and then we can't have a general.
Then there'll be dark, essentially. We'll be shut down.
Yeah.
We'll shut down. But it's highly likely that they will vote to extend the Brown Act modification. Highly likely.
So are we willing to take that chance?
It's up to every committee chair to decide.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave up to committee chairs to decide on their own. If you want to do a Zoom meeting as a precautionary, very, very precautionary measure in February, please let Robin and I and Lewis know real soon.
Okay, well, public safety and exec will do it on Monday.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So just let me know. Email us the next day or so.
Well, and you say in February, essentially, since 2 meetings will be taking place on Monday, and February only has 28 days, that would leave us for government affairs to meet on the 28th or not at all.
27th after public safety, like public safety, I think might do, or maybe exec will do 6 o'clock and public safety will do 6:30. So if we only do like quick meetings, they're
Okay.
just quick meetings,
You could-
then you could
You
take
could do,
that.
yeah, you could do 20, let's see, today, you could do 24th. Would that be Brown Act compliant? See, once you, maybe not. 72 hours.
We'll figure it out. So I think I have.
You could do daytime too.
If I have 3 people here who are on the committee, Sean, Ren, and Jonathan. Could you each email or text me and let me know if you'd like to meet or not? I would, but of course it's up to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for following along with that. It's very confusing, and it's been a lot. We're all learning. In fact, even Dunn is learning. Eric is learning as we go along, and we're figuring this stuff out. It's very confusing. It's much harder to get back in person than I thought it would. Okay, and happy. Okay, and also just want to again thanks again to Tess and Jonathan regarding 4118. That letter we wrote to the mayor last September really paid off, and it felt really great that we're like a little tugboat that could, or a little engine that could, and we really stretched our legs and reached up and made a difference, and it was really great. And I want to thank Tess and Jonathan for really pushing that to happen. Any other comments or questions from Zep? Okay, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I guess it would be public safety, but I got 25 people from the neighborhood to go down to City Hall because I got the call from Paul Krikorian's office that it was going to be on the agenda, and it's a very contentious item, as you know. And I told people, you know, if you want this, we got to show up and show our support. And I think they were pleasantly surprised. If we had brought 10, they would have been thrilled, and we got a lot more than that. And it was, you know, good experience to present before City Council. So, and I also included as a public document a copy of that letter the letter of action that we wrote and sent to Garcetti last year, because of course we have new council members who've been seated and would not have seen it otherwise. So well done to everybody who joined me. Thank you.
Jonathan?
I would also add, watching the city council, maybe all of the members of this board aren't aware of it because not everyone has enough time to watch these council meetings. But since Mr. Krikorian took over as president, for me, it's an opinion, it's a phenomenal change towards civility and enforcement of civility. So sometimes it's not civil, but he enforces the behavioral codes in order to get the business done. And it's refreshing. It's nice to see that there's some order to the city council meetings in Los Angeles, because as a citizen, I sat there before saying, how can the city possibly have any hope for order if they can't even have a city council meeting that follows some order? Thank you. One thing, Colby, before you move to the president's report, I would like to make a point of order. Okay, thanks.
You mean treasurer's report?
Yes.
Okay, we're moving there now. So do you want to make your point of order?
Yep. Is Erica here?
No, she's not.
Okay. My point of order is to suspend, they call it in parliamentary procedure, to suspend the rules in order to change the order of the meeting. The reason I suggest this is for the efficiency of time. Part of what's going on in the mirror report of the treasurer's report has to do with the banner project. And I believe that we need to talk about the banner project first in order to avoid having to do a reconsideration of any past motion of the mayor.
That's fine. I don't see a difference. That's fine.
Okay. So
are you good with that? You can wait around a little longer. Yeah, you'll be here anyway. Okay. We'll move treasurer to later. Planning and land use. You guys ready? Or we can move to something else.
Ren is speaking for Fred because Fred's not feeling well.
Maybe Ren's not ready yet. He wasn't expecting to be up next. I can also go right on to. Actually,
no, Ren's.
Okay, I'm ready. Planning land use for mobile station liquor license request. Had a presentation at our meeting by the owners of the mobile station there, Vineland and Moore Park. They've been previously approved, that's the car wash, and so they've been before us before. They've got a mini market in there, and they want to add wine and beer. Planning, of course, not to sell singles. So beer would be in a pack, or wine would, small wine in a pack or large bottles. And they're, the only real question is their hours. We encourage them to close at 10 o'clock. They had applied for 11 p.m. So our recommendation is that we ask them to close at 10. They have strong overnight, security, not only while they're open, but 24-hour security. They've got cameras and pretty intense lighting. So I think in terms of they don't want people hanging around, and they have security people who can come and remove anyone who's just loitering around the outside or even inside. So I was encouraged. I don't know that I generally don't want to see a proliferation of even wine and beer license, but in this case, I think it makes sense with a mini market and so forth to be able to allow them to add that to their inventory. The only point would be to them to close at 10, and they seemed open to that at that point. It'll be quite a while before this is actually heard by the powers that the wine and beer licenses take quite a while to process. I would like a vote from the board probably next month to request that they first at 10 p.m. They may call us in the next few days and tell us that they've agreed to do that or having to pass the motion. So I'd like to wait until next week on that. Item 2 is the application.
Actually, Ren, we have 3 questions, I think.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
I saw Kevin first.
Hey, Ren, I apologize if I'm repetitive. Are we talking about the mobile station on the corner of Coenga and Riverside?
No,
No, it's
Moore Park.
Vineland.
Moore Park and Vineland.
Yeah, Moore Park and Vineland.
Oh, got it. That the new one that they just built?
Yeah.
Got it.
And then Tess.
Yeah, we might add that we haven't seen their application yet, which I requested, and I also asked the consultant how many within a roughly half-mile radius, how many other sales points for alcohol are there, and she's going to come back to us with that information. So that's pending as well. But yeah, we'd like to see the application. Thanks, Ren.
Okay.
And then Robin.
And I'm sorry, I thought it was the mobile station at the corner of Riverside and Coenga. My question about that station is they had applied for a car wash a while back. Is there any update on that car wash?
It's open.
The car wash at Riverside and Coenga?
I'm sorry.
No, it's not yet, and I think it's going to be a while. Tess, do you have some update on that?
Yeah, they contacted me because of delays in the planning office, and I'm trying to help them sort it out because there's some paperwork appears to have been misplaced that some people think was sent in and received, but other people think was not. And the fact is that there's been 3 or 4 different planners assigned to this now. So I'm waiting to hear back from the consultant on an open question of who approved the application when it was submitted and deemed to be complete, because that's the missing link.
All right.
Let's see.
So I guess Ren, you can move on to Navajo if you're.
Okay, yeah, the next item is the application for fence variance. And as I did more research on this, initially it's fairly straightforward, but in fact, discovered that the applicant initially had just gone ahead and built the fence, put in connections and so forth, all without a permit and not up to code. And so they've been cited and are basically sitting there with an order to either tear it all down and tear it all out, or somehow come back and with a plan to get it, within code. And it's a real problem. I mean, we've had people come before our committee in the past who've gotten started in some ways, but we've never had somebody who just went ahead and built their thing without a nod towards the city. So I think this is a real problem, and we'll monitor it as we go along. It'll take a while for the city to literally come in and tear it down, but they will eventually. They'll come in and demolish the fence and would tear out all the electrical that was put in. And the homeowner has a consultant who hopefully will explain this all to him, and he'll get on track. Any questions on that?
And please raise your hand if you have a question for Ren and Navajo. Nope, nothing, Ren.
Okay. Number 3 is the measure ULA, which, as you remember, passed was 57% of the vote last election, and it's to create funding for homeless and for housing, and it's a very substantial tax. It would be 4% on any buildings with a valuation of 5 to 10 million, and 5.5% on any project 10 million. The city council today voted to explore how to spend the money. There's substantial amounts of money that'll be generated by this, $500 million to $1.1 billion a year. So this is very substantive. The problem is, or at least one of the problems, this doesn't cover just homes. It covers all commercial development as well. And commercial developers often, the property owners, it doesn't change. It gets moved around by corporate operations and so forth. So not necessarily as a new project, but nevertheless, it's being seen as a huge barrier to any kind of commercial large-scale development in the city. And there's been of course, a huge uproar, and attorneys hired, and they're going after this initially as a violation of very basic rights. So anyway, it's one, stay tuned. I mean, theoretically, there could be a lot of money for building for the homeless, or it could get overruled by the court pretty quickly as not being constitutional or being a violation of some other laws or rules. So we'll see. Tess, do you want to comment on this?
No, I don't have much more to add, but it's going to be pretty contentious. I believe Jonathan may have brought up at our plum meeting that the language of the measure was misleading. Kevin Dees brought this forward, and we've discussed it and whether or not we want to take a position on it. I think probably we should, but maybe we should wait and see how the lawsuits, give it a month, Ren. I don't know how quickly this sort of thing will get resolved or get to the courts, but there's been a counter suit to try to block it from being they're counter blocking the lawsuit. So Kevin, what did you have to add? You're muted, Kevin.
Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I mean, listen, I work in the real estate business. You know, this was billed as a mansion tax. But you know, in all actuality, we're talking about every real estate transaction in the city of Los Angeles. So that means apartment buildings, commercial, you know, any kind of commercial building. It's any real estate transaction. And you know, the other issue is that you know, as Ren laid out, it starts at 5 million, but you know, but it's all, we're also talking about the gross figure. So if somebody's selling a property, I know $5 million is a lot of money, but let's say it's at a loss, the tax is still due. So that's unclear also. Part of the lawsuits that have been filed are that it isn't constitutional. It's against the state's constitution. And then also it's really unknown at this point, but you know, really the impact would be felt at you know, mostly for commercial building owners, apartment owners, and the like. You know, the extra money that would need to be laid out in taxes could very well be passed on to the tenants. You know, it sounds great. Go after the rich guy. But you know, the majority of people have their wealth tied up in their house, and I don't know how opinionated I can get, but you know, I view it as stealing from people, and I don't think it's right. I can't believe that it passed, and yeah, we'll just see what happens. But but as of right now, City of Los Angeles, this is going into effect starting April 1st. So if there's a real estate transaction that closes before then, right now the transfer tax is 0.45%, but then it's going to go up, you know, tremendously after that. And City of Santa Monica has their own that goes into effect at the end of this month.
Kevin, may I ask you to clarify one thing? I didn't quite understand. So you said that even if it's sold at a loss, tax is still due. Can you explain that? What does that mean?
So if, let's say the properties, so $5 million, again, we're not talking about just rich people in their house. We're talking about, well, I guess if you own a bunch of apartment buildings, you have money, but anyway, that's aside from the point. We're not, it was billed as a mansion tax, but it's not just mansions. It's every real estate transaction at that level. Again, that means apartments, that means retail, that means anything in the city of Los Angeles.
Oh, I understand, but
I got it. I'm gonna get to your question.
Okay.
So so at $5 million, that's $200,000 in extra tax just when you go to sell it. If the sale price, and again, we're just talking about at 5 million. If at $5 million, let's say you paid $6 million for the property and you're selling it at a loss at $5 million. So again, you're at a loss. You still owe the tax. It's on the gross sales price. Does that make sense?
You would still owe the tax on the 5 million that you sold it for, even though you bought it for 6.
If you're losing $1 million, you still owe the tax on the $5 million.
Okay, yeah, I understand. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's not only sales. People assume, oh, they're selling this property for $5 million. They're flush in cash. It's transfers. That means, you know, they haven't really defined what a transfer is.
Correct.
It seems like it would be transferred from parent to child. Could be transfers in and out of trusts. So
or you're a husband and wife.
Possibly, spousal transfers, interspousal
transfer your or Colby, husband and wife, you transfer your property into a family trust.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Trust and the trust,
which is not a sale. You're just putting it into a different entity.
That would be the same beneficial use, but they're not making that difference of beneficial use. You know, a lot of times if there's no change in beneficial use, should be no change of ownership. That's the way it is now with securing your Prop 13.
No.
But this
again, wonderful marketing. Go after the rich guy. It's a horrible situation, and I hope that that people wise up.
And secondly, someone could own a $5 million piece of property, but they could have a $4 million mortgage on it. You know, maybe they put 20% down, you know, $1 million or so, and they still, it's not about their ownership in the property because the bank really kind of owns the rest of it, you know, or they owe all the
Plus,
money.
how many initiatives has the city passed to go after the homelessness, and we still haven't fixed it? So,
Well, yeah. So we'll get deep in this another time, but if we vote on something, on a stance on this, but I think we should. I like that idea of voting on a stance on this. All right, stakeholder. I see Joanne has a hand up. Joanne, you're on. Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay, Ren.
Okay, yeah, the last item on our agenda is the a little more upbeat. NBC Universal, Robin and I went up to
Excuse me, Ren, it looks
There.
like you do have a couple questions.
Okay, we'll go back to
the
Joanne.
last item.
Joanne, is this about?
You got,
Go ahead, Joanne. I don't know. She keeps putting her hand up. So, you know, I don't hear
No,
her.
it's, the hand up is for Irene.
yeah,
Oh, there's two hands up. Joanne, I just lowered her hand. And it's
Okay.
back
Oh.
up. Joanne, you
Okay.
have to. Okay.
and then
Go
we
ahead,
got
Joanne.
Here,
Jill
you
and
didn't
Joanne.
unmute me. That's why I was waiting for you to unmute me. It's not
Okay.
allowing me to unmute myself. Yeah, I just have a question for Mr. Dees. All this extra tax money, is this going into like some kind of general fund? Is there going to be, I know it's supposedly to help the homeless, but is there any accountability, any oversight to say, okay, we're doing all this, we're taxing the rich, whatever, to help the poor, but what's the oversight on to see if what is the intention actually happens? Although I agree with you, I think this thing needs to go away.
you know, a lot of it is unclear. I mean, the city council just met this week, and they want to use some of the funds to pay for attorneys that for less enfranchised people that are facing eviction, which, I mean, I can't imagine what that must be like. That's a horrible thing, but that's not what the money is. You know, again, it was billed as a way to fix homeless. And I think that our politicians want to or look at this as they're going to become flush with all this cash. What can we spend the money on? The majority of it is supposed to go towards homelessness. It hasn't been defined exactly how it's going to be used. So I think there are a lot of questions about it.
May I throw in there that I just interviewed one of the housing department as part of the budget advocates volunteer work I'm doing, just to understand how money is coming in and going out. And I believe they will have oversight over that money, Joanne, the housing department, and they're very happy to have it, but it's not clear yet exactly how it will be used. So there.
Yeah, it's so much money that it's going to overwhelm whatever programs are being in place. It's amount of additional money that nobody had planned on, and it's going the way the city gears up for this kind of thing. It'll probably be a year or two before we even see any kind of real impact.
And we have Irene. Irene, you're on the air.
Hello, can you hear me?
We do, yes.
Okay. I don't know much about this mansion tax, but it sounds, I don't like it from what I'm hearing. I am not a property owner, but I don't like the sound of it. Where the money is going to go to for the homeless, from what I understand, there's plenty of money in budgets for the homeless. And, you know, when is it going to stop that we are being bombarded with supporting the homeless when more people are becoming homeless because they're supporting the homeless? I mean, $60 a month tax on a person who's renting can put them in the street, because they also have the other tax, which is the annual tax that comes. So now you're at $120 a month more on your rent, so that you can pay for the homeless. But how is that helping you? That's what I got to say about that.
Thank you, Irene. And I encourage everyone, all the stakeholders who are chiming in tonight, obviously, if we do vote on this, on a stance on this in a later meeting, to please reiterate your views on this. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to rent NBC Universal. I don't see any other.
Yeah, they just quickly went up to Universal for a presentation up there. They're of course opening up a lot of things. They are emphasizing a family orientation. So the more adult kind of activities that they've had in the past, the bars and so forth, are being less emphasized. They still have some of that up there, but they're really shifting over and emphasizing programs for kids, basically, and people and families. They have a bunch of new sound stages that they've opened up, which has created a lot of additional employment up there on the hill. They're about to open up their office park, which is up above on the sort of the top end of this facility over there. Beautiful new development up there. It'll be where the Universal employees work up there, so they're moving up there, freeing up offices down below for production operations and all. And so they're moving people around. They're upgrading what they're doing. And of course, if you drive by in Lancashire, you see the front there is being redone. They've got the trees, and they apologize for that, but they plan to replace them once they get that set up. And the front there will be much more kind of open and much more attractive than it's been in the past. It developed over the years, one thing and then another without any thought. Now they've the whole front of it to be unified in terms of look and design. They've also renumbered the gates. I don't know if you're aware, but the gates are kind of oddly numbered. And now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the gates are numbered. The impact on our community, of course, is going to be substantial because with the additional employment up there, there'll be more desire for people to live close by and in our community. The second thing is additional traffic and parking. So all of that are, those are issues, and forward and work again with some of the people we know up at Universal to get them to come down and talk to directly about their impact on Toluca Lake, and maybe ideas we have of things they can do to invest in our community to offset any impacts they're having. So that's a conversation we should have in the next 6-8 months. Robin, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it. It was a great community meeting, and Universal is a great partner and neighbor, and we they want to hear what we have to say, and they're good listeners.
I was very impressed with their long-term planning. I mean, they clearly a lot of projects that are 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 12 years out. I mean, they're planning and looking ahead, and they're constantly in touch with the market that they building new sound stages clearly responded to the need in the industry for more sound stages, and they may build even more if they continue to have that demand. But they're working on other parts of their park as well. But that's a lot of pressure on us. If we don't interact with them and get them to offset some of their impacts, we're gonna pay a price for their their wealth and their growth. On top of that,
Tess has one, right?
Yeah, thank you. So I think the person you met with was Darnell Tyler. Is that right, Ren?
well,
Great.
Darnell was actually part of the cast. There were 10 people that were representing Universal, and they all made various presentations on various aspects. what's
Could
going on.
you, Ren and or Colby, introduce me to the right people up there? Because when those impacts are discussed on our neighborhood and what they can do to invest in our community, I would like to be at those meetings, please. Can one of you do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, great. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
okay. Any other planning issues or questions? That's my report. Our report, include Fred. Our report.
Thank you so much. Move on to Shannon with public safety.
Hi, thank you for, I'm here. Okay, a couple of things under public safety. We did have a break-in at Pergolina, and I had, actually I had dinner with Paulana, the owner, tonight, and like Officer Delbar said, she's in good spirits, and they have cameras and they do have some leads. And there's been a couple other things. There was Little Sprouts a couple weeks ago where they had an expensive stroller that was shoplifted during the daytime. And I'm not sure if we reported last time about Prosecco, that they were broken in. Maybe it was prior to the last meeting. But what I'm just saying is that, the cameras are necessary. I don't think it's not the same people. It's kind of random, but it's going on. But it just seems that people are taking in stride. It's just, I hate to say it's like just doing business, but they're all seem to be dealing with it pretty well. Let me see here. The street lighting, I have been talking to Shannon Callan, and I think she's, since she's new, I think she's surprised at how much street lighting we still have out, and we still have that section and right by the median at Ledge. And she's working on that, trying to get times of when it's scheduled to get fixed, but that's still not clear. And then the other thing is, like, maybe we did talk about the homeless, the 4118. I don't know if there's anything else to add to that. If Tess, you want to add anything, but would you like to?
No, I wanted to mention about the lighting. So I relentlessly begged, requested for a repair schedule and never got it despite repeated requests. Yes. And then eventually the lights just got repaired. So, but I think I texted or emailed you the name of the Board of Public Works Commissioner who was helpful to us, Varheed Korshand, and I am in touch with them. So I will see if I can't get a lighting repair schedule for that. But they didn't give me the repair schedule either. It just finally got done after lots of advocacy. So, but keep me posted when I hope that it will happen very soon. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, and that's all I have.
Jonathan has a question.
Thank you, Shannon, for a nice summary that wasn't long at all. There's two things I would like to mention. That the Public Safety Committee, it's operating in non-compliance. It's real important.
Okay,
Jonathan? No, let me finish up and then.
Okay.
This isn't a criticism toward you, Shannon.
Jonathan, I just speak to Erica, just so you know. I just talked to Erica. I think Tess did too.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Shannon, let him speak.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't speak very long on it. I think it's really, it's a denigration of our institution of more than just the neighborhood council, but we're examples for young people in our community, how we behave. So it is important that we are always compliant and making every effort. This is going on for quite a lot of time. So I appreciate that the executive committee that's charged with the oversight of the whole neighborhood council takes it on as their responsibility. It's genuinely not yours, Shannon. You're new to the committee. You didn't create this problem, but it is ongoing, and I think it falls into the lap of the executive committee to resolve that matter. The next point, unrelated to that, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that, Shannon. The other part is the committee itself. I'm really hopeful. We were on a curve to get much more intense in that committee because that's the committee that represents the most important aspect of our stakeholders' concern, and that's public safety. I mean, the other one is corruption in the city, but in that meeting, the public safety, that's the number one concern of residents throughout Los Angeles whenever a poll is taken, and here in our community too. And to that end, I think we were on a curve to get much more intense. And then we've gone back to an elementary place where we're just talking about crime. We're not doing, and I'm going to tell you what it is in plain English, what I think we should be doing. I wrote this sentence down so I wouldn't screw it up. I think we should be aiming to have those difficult conversations to explore why people are committing illegal acts and behaving anti-socially in our community and what we can do to stop it. Now, you know, I brought to the council a letter from a stakeholder about nonprofits, and I think it's a hard conversation, but we got to get into stuff like that so that we can make our community more safe than the other communities around it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do think that we're a unique community. In fact, that, you know, we all, like at dinner tonight, we know each other. Everybody interacts. So it seems like we have a conversation on even, well, I want to say a baser level, but just within our own community people. If you could help, I would love to hear how we can make this happen and have the conversation, and maybe you can help give some ideas to guide it. You know, I'll reach out to you. Because yeah, it's important for us to have the conversation, and we do, I think, within each other on the streets and everything, do that. I do want to say I did call Erica, and I believe tested also, and she had told me, you know, basically she said having, well, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she's going to look into it more about what we can do, because we do have too many people. But then she was saying it's not a bad thing, but she's working with her supervisor, so to clarify things. So we're just waiting for Erica, just so you know. And that's all I have to say on that.
Okay, moving right along. Shannon, does that conclude your report?
I'm finished, yes.
Great, good job, thank you.
Thank
Outreach and elections, Matt, and I don't see Catherine on board here, but nope. Matt.
That's me. Hi, guys. Well, I want to thank all of you for completely not responding to my email. Yet again, I am looking for volunteers to come to the farmer's market. I get it. Sucks. You have to man a booth. Like, you know, there's a lot of strangers.
Woman a booth.
Excuse me. You have to person a booth. And I sent out an email. And Jake was the only person who wrote me back. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate you. And
did I ever send you the dates? Because I have zero idea if it ever like went through. Because I sent it while I was like exiting school, and I don't know if I had internet.
No, it went through. You're the only one. You're the only one who wrote me back with a yeah. So thank you, Jake. I appreciate it. So if we don't do it, fine. So Lisa and I and Catherine have chatted, and one of the things that she wanted to do with social media was to say, hey, like, are you interested in running for the council? Which, by the way, February 22nd. If that is not on your calendar, put it on your calendar. That's when the candidate filing opens up. February 22nd.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. It's in 4 hours.
Tomorrow. So what our goal was to say, hey, like, you know, if you're interested in running, if you're interested in meeting anybody on the council, you know, they will be at the farmer's market on this day. And that was going to be one of the things that we could do. But again, if nobody volunteers, it's not going to happen. So I'm not going to send another email. If you feel like it, please email me, and we'll take it from there. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that Colby is just trying to figure out if we are going to be in person or Zoom for the actual, what do you call it? For the event, for the, hold on. The candidate forum. Yeah, for the candidate forum. So I'd love to be able to see it in person, not on Zoom, but I think Colby, you're just going to figure that out.
I feel like we're kind of, I can talk after, or do you want to continue? I have a little bit to add about that, but I feel I got a letter from the city regarding that, and I feel they're trying to dissuade us from doing it, because they said something like, I'll talk about that offline. We can talk about this, but they said if you want to assume the risks that run with holding an in-person candidate forum,
awesome.
You would, you know, jump through these hoops. They were making it sound like, you know, almost dissuading us from doing it, which didn't sound very promising. But I'll show you the email offline when I can find it.
All right. I mean, if it sounds.
It did feel very good to read it. I like that in person. I like standing, it was good standing in front of people and giving a little speech and everything. But I think they're going to try to throw some risk management stuff at us and some ADA stuff at us. The ADA should be fine if we hold it at the Toluca Lit School. But I didn't understand what they're talking about risk management. It might be insurance if someone slips and falls during the event. Anyway.
Well, how would it be different than it's ever been? I mean, I've never attended one before, but why the extra layers of stuff?
Because it's government.
Yeah, well, Colby, going back historically, we've, the first 20 years or whatever, with 15, 16 years, we had our candidates, discussions and debates publicly, and we never had a problem that I can remember.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. There's no problem. I mean, in real life, but it's just, I was told that, if you want to go ahead and keep talking, I'll dig up the email. Go ahead, keep talking. I'll try to bring it to you guys.
That's all I got. That's all I got. So the goal is to get us some coverage for the farmers market, and then make sure everybody knows tomorrow's the filing, and then figuring out if we're going to do the forum in person or not, and then just getting that organized so we can make that happen. And I will just say once again, as of the next council, at this point, you've got nobody who is on this committee who's going to be on the council. So just think about, like, if you do get reelected or you do want to run, who may want to join this committee.
Yes. Oh, and also, Matt, I'll forward this email, but it has to be Brown Act compliant, which makes sense, the candidate, because it's kind of a meeting. It is a meeting. And the attorney said the school should be okay regarding ADA compliance because this is a school and it's been pretty much signed off regarding our in-person meetings for ADA. We had that inspected. I'll forward this email to you. We can talk tomorrow if you want.
Got it. Okay.
Well, we did our last forum at the Harmony Church.
Yeah, but don't look at the past. It doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
We don't want to get the church inspected. That's going to take 2 months, 3 months. So the school's already inspected. I'm not going to go to the church. It's too tough. Okay. Thank you, Matt. And that's it, right? I'm sorry, Matt, is that it? Or do you have more?
Nope, that's it. I'm done.
Okay, good. Tess Taylor, Government Affairs.
Thank you very much. We were supposed to have Jason Maruka, but he was not able to attend.
Jason left his position.
Yes, I was about to say that, Colby. So, and we've got a new person coming in. Hopefully that person will come forward soon. I mean, I've already exchanged some emails, but the only item we have is the Toluca Lake 100 anniversary banners, and I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan. So go ahead, Jonathan.
Hey, thank you, Tess. To start the conversation on the right foot, I'll do the best I can so that we have the maximum opportunity to manage the subject in a respectful, calm way. We need to take a look at what we're doing here. This started off back in November, and since then we had Christmas and all of the holidays, and well, it's, I guess, my job to make sure everybody's remembering what's occurred, so that we can have a meaningful conversation, that people have their memories refreshed, and also additional information. Everybody's working with the same information, so we can all talk together and calmly and not surprise each other with more information. So I thought about how to get it all out there quickly. And what I did is I took quite a bit of time to edit down a little dossier. It's about 6 or 8 minutes just to get everybody up to speed on the same spot, and then we can have our conversation. Just to recall you, we had a November 15th general meeting. That's where the original motion was, where the vice president presented. The very next day, I sent a letter to Colby and Robin, to the vice president, and it was a complaint about some of the things that had occurred in the meeting. And I was concerned about how we go about trusting, not each other, but our own, what we do with our trust in order to defend the interests of stakeholders. Then we broke for the December holiday. January 17th, we had a general meeting. So now we've got two general meetings, November and January. And right after that meeting, no, on January 4th, I'd asked Shannon for a working meeting. She had surgery, so that didn't happen. There was a phone call from Colby to me, and I'm going to talk about that with Colby because my goal is to strengthen the neighborhood council. So some things we don't need to talk about here because it might weaken our neighborhood council, and that's not the goal. The goal is to get good things done. On February 2nd, we have a letter from the vice president to West Toluca Lake leaders. It included a map of 40 poles in West Toluca Lake, advocating West Toluca Lake families, businesses sponsor banners in their quote unquote area of sponsorship. That was that was on February 2. And then the last thing that happens is on February 7th, we have the Government Affairs Committee meeting. So now I'm going to take 3 of those points. That'll be the 2 general meetings and the Government Affairs meetings, and bring you all, help you remember what took place. And then we'll get into a conversation. That way, everybody will be aware of the same thing. So we'll start with November. Here you go.
As of the essence, if, we be capped at $5,000, and we could agree that, we would move forward unless the banners went all the way to Camarillo. But we need to.
Well, it's pending quotes. It's pending.
We don't know, and the thing is, if we don't have this voted upon, and then Arthur, like you were saying, we can vote on something, and if for some reason it doesn't work out, right, Arthur? We said that in the last.
Yeah, we asked Arthur if the money was earmarked for this, and we decided that it was just not going to work out, that the money would go back into our budget and not back to the city. So it is not money that will be spent unless we deem that we want it to happen. And again, this motion is pending quotes. All we're saying is we want to be able to go forward with this information, go forward with getting the quotes and trying to get this installed for the January 1st, not deadline, but the Toluca Lake is going to turn 100.
I understand that. The goal is to put up the banners in January and to keep them up until December, correct?
That is the wish. I don't know that
I'm just trying to understand it. I'm not giving you my opinion. I just want to understand. So it's the January to the end of the year. Has anyone gone through the street from Camarillo all the way down to what would be the easternmost point in Toluca Lake Village? Clybourne. So has anyone gone along Riverside from those?
I believe the committee
is working on it. Let me ask
the
question. The question is, has there been a total number of poles identified that are available there to support a banner?
I believe there has been a count, yes.
How many?
Jonathan, I don't know. I'm not on the committee.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not just asking the questions, Robin. I'm just trying to get information.
I understand.
All right.
This is already something that
no one even said that we're just contracting with the city.
Assuming we were stupid.
Pardon?
Okay, Colby.
Yeah, Jonathan, where's? I'm just curious.
This is. I appreciate the presentation, but I think after I answer a few questions, I think the board will understand the banners. And I think, I understand. I feel like there's an attack going on here, and I feel very bullied and threatened. And you can hear the frustration in one of the board members. And I think this needs to stop, and we should have a very human conversation among friends, which I want to believe that we are. So could we stop this, whatever this is, and let's just have a conversation about the banners?
We're trying to. Jonathan, what else do you have to say? or else we want to move on and discuss.
I'd like to
Janice.
move to the January meeting, and then we need to get to
Yeah,
the
more
government
reports.
affairs. It's all
It's-
edited down.
It
Can I
sounds like a
proceed?
Watergate. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks. I'm real interested to know that we have community members from everywhere. So if you could prepare a list of who the committee is.
Well, Jonathan, the neighborhood council, okay. The cost is going to be much more than the 5,000 that the neighborhood council is going to be paying for. So we have to enlist the help of sponsorships. So there are a lot more entities involved than just the neighborhood council. So everything is kind of vague right now. There's not a lot of definite numbers involved. So as we know more, we will definitely share it. You can ask more questions. Maybe next month we'll have more, I'm hoping, because we have a big meeting coming up where we're gonna discuss with the vendor and the city as to how many months we may have them up.
And now we'll get to the government
Jonathan,
affairs.
we've all sat through, like I say, I'm gonna have to slow this down because we've all sat through the meetings. We've all approved the minutes from these meetings. So I don't understand your directive here, because we all know what was said. It's public record. It's on Zoom. It's on YouTube and memorialized there.
Okay, now
So
we're at
you're taking snippets. It sounds like you're trying to edit. Maybe you're editing.
Hold on. With all due respect, what is the point of this? I feel like we're wasting everybody's time here.
I'm trying to get everybody current on what's occurred.
But why are we listening to a recorded conversation of the meeting? Can we just get to the point, Jonathan? I say that with all due respect. Well, what's the point here?
Did you listen to the recordings of the Government Affairs Committee meeting? Have you listened to what took place there? There's been substantial information that was offered. I believe it's credible. It changes things for me. I think it'll change things for other people. I think everyone needs to be aware of what took place at the Government Affairs Committee meeting.
How about, can you just tell us what happened? Do we have to continue?
I could, but I don't think it's as valuable as hearing it, because you're going to hear people speak.
Okay, but we have one board member saying that she feels threatened. I mean, why can't you just say what the issue is? Why do we have to continue to listen to this recording?
Ren, if you wouldn't mind, would you like me to speak for you? What the things that Ren was in my, again, I don't like to offer my opinion, but it's hard to recount things without seasoning it with your opinion. But I was particularly struck by Ren's fortitude to do the right thing and just talk frank. He brought a lot of information to the Government Affairs Committee meeting, and it seemed to me like he was very honest. That was my impression, but I'm giving you my opinion. And I think you ought to hear him speak. And I mean, for him to have to go through it all over again, and I've already condensed it down to a few minutes.
Jonathan, what is your point? What are you trying to do?
Excuse me, I'm speaking and
I know, we're hearing you. What is your point?
I'll repeat myself. The point that I just made is substantial information was brought forward in the Government Affairs Committee meeting that wasn't I wasn't aware of it because, I attended every single meeting. I wasn't aware. It's substantive information.
Okay, I listened to the GAC meeting in its entirety. So I can speak verbatim about what was said in that meeting. I'm asking you, what is your point? What are you trying to say here? We all would like to know. Sum it up.
Let me
What are you trying to say?
Robin, let him sum it up, Robin.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I'm trying to communicate to this board the information that was presented without getting involved in it, letting them hear firsthand. So I edited it down to very few minutes. And now I think what we're seeing is a presentation of objection, of obstacle.
No, what I'm saying to you is it's if you edit it for content, you might be changing what was really said by editing.
Well, all right. I'm willing to.
If you just you're presenting a case, it's fine, but I don't know.
I'm willing to relent.
Go back and look at the raw. If there's something, if there's something illegal that you think is happening, then point that out right now. if you something immoral
I
or
don't
something
like the
wrong
word.
you're doing, say the words.
I do think there is unethical behavior came forward. Okay. I don't know why I should be the unique person to have to go there, because I am often labeled as the person who confronts tough issues at this neighborhood council.
Are you accusing me of doing something illegal, Jonathan? Say it.
No, you used the word illegal. I said
How about
unethical, and this
unethical?
isn't about you, Colby. Okay, this is not about
Are you
you.
accusing Robin
What
Allen
I
of
think
being
is
unethical?
important is that we're talking about the business. The business is the banner, the street banner project. Okay. All right, let's do it your way, I guess, is your way. You don't want to hear, you don't want, it's painful.
Well, I
Really,
think you are.
I'm not talking to you. When I ask you a question, then it's your right to answer the question. But right now,
But
I'm
Jonathan,
presenting.
you're not the only one who can speak here.
And
I'll proceed. Colby, would you like me to just make a summary of what took place at that meeting?
Yes, because relying upon recordings secondhand is, I need, if you're going to do recordings, then everyone should go back and listen to all those meetings in their entirety. That's what I'm saying. So I'm either going to ask you to verbally summarize what you want to say. Right.
Okay. Well, the substantive information that I was unaware of is that this is a project that's being spearheaded by other organizations. This is not, again, relitigating whether we want to do this banner project or not. This is the structure of this deal. Evidently, there's the Chamber of Commerce, there's the Toluca Lake Homeowners Association, there's the Toluca Lake Garden Club, who are all involved in spearheading this project. And
Jonathan, you're speaking out of turn. You are saying things that are untrue, and I can speak to those.
Colby,
but
Robin, we're gonna give it 1 minute. Robin, we're gonna have 1 more minute, and then we're gonna be you don't know. I don't think you have all the correct information, or I don't think your information is correct. But you have 1 minute, and then I'm gonna move on.
Who are you talking to?
Go ahead, Jonathan. To you, Jonathan, 1 minute, and then please just summarize your point in 1 minute, and then we'll go into discussion, and then we'll move forward.
Okay, well, if you all don't want to hear what took place and you haven't listened to the tape, I didn't invent this information, so I don't want to be told whether I'm correct or not. I'm recounting, as you asked, I'm recounting the words of another person. Now, if this is in fact true, we have board members who are members of those organizations. I don't recollect a single disclosure or recusal.
This is not a summary.
Robin, he has 40 seconds, and then move forward.
So now I'm being timed in order to get all the information out. It really isn't fair to the stakeholders' interests, which is the people who own this money. So the question is this council comfortable turning over $5,000 to other organizations when we have the fiduciary duty to ensure that the $5,000 is serving the community? That's a legal question, but I'm not the lawyer in all of this. I'm just one of the board. And clearly things are uncomfortable for some board members. I'm not uncomfortable. This is not the first time in my life I've ever seen things go awry, but people talk about things and they resolve things. Sometimes people have to apologize. Sometimes there's corrective measures. Sometimes there's misunderstandings. All of that is part of the human experience. But
okay,
our behavior.
That was a minute, and I'm just going to say one thing. This $5,000 is going to the vendor directly.
None of this has been shared.
Well, Jonathan, if you allow us to update you, by the time we're done with this, I think you will be more than satisfied. But you have to listen.
You actually have to listen.
My response to that is, it's not as if I have disallowed you to speak. You've had plenty of opportunity to present this information. I'm surprised Jonathan, by what I learned.
We've heard you. Would you like me to update you so you can feel more comfortable?
No, this is Colby's meeting. It's Colby's job, not mine to direct it.
Okay.
I have a question. You went through this whole thing at the beginning, Colby, of one person taking over a meeting. So I'm asking, Jonathan, are you asking to revisit the motion that we passed to spend the $5,000? Is that the entire purpose of this?
Depending on the information, like if I learned that this information is wrong, maybe not. If I learn that this information is correct, then probably it would be appropriate to move to rescind the motion. Some corrective action needs to be taken if some of this information is correct.
Okay,
I'm not in the position to decide if it's correct.
Okay,
You're
I'm going
here.
to stop, Jonathan. I'm going to stop you. We got to move forward with the discussion of the banners, and we're all beating a dead horse. And I think there's some information that need to be distributed, and I just need a chance as a president to move the motion forward and distribute that information. Does that make sense?
Move what motion forward?
Okay.
Is
Tess, this is actually your GAC. Tess, this is actually your committee. Do you want to talk, or do you want to?
Yes, as a matter of fact. So, I know this is a contentious issue, but I think Jonathan has a basis for bringing some concerns forward. There was a lot of new information discussed at the Government Affairs Committee meeting, probably at least 10 points of information that were not known when we voted on this in November. And I think that's worth looking at and revisiting. And, if any process or procedure was done improperly, then it's worth revisiting. So, and as was noted at the time we voted for this in November, if we choose not to go forward with this, then the money would go back to the neighborhood council and not to the city. But as Ren shared with us in our Government Affairs Committee meeting on the 7th of this month, just 2 weeks ago, it appears that let's see here, the Chamber of Commerce, the Toluca Lake Homeowners Association, the Garden Club have been working to put this together. And if that's the case, then board members who are neighborhood council board members who are also board members of one or more of those organizations should have recused themselves. And I think that is pretty clear in our training, in our ethics training. And that would be, I think, a point worth discussing and asking why those recusals didn't occur, or, what is the role of those organizations in this project. And as we heard in November, the parameters of the project were vague in the extreme, and we were voting on it as a point of trust in order to understand. We trusted what we were told, as minimal as it was, and I think we have a right to know. So it's about honoring the process and due process. So Robin, don't feel attacked. If the process has not been upheld appropriately, then we need to make sure that we're doing that appropriately. Our fiduciary responsibility is one of the highest responsibilities we have as stakeholders, and I take it very seriously. And I'm glad other people do too. So
okay. So you guys ready, or do you want to just keep talking?
Or do you want to prolong this, because it's been 20?
Just keep going. We're ready to share some information if maybe you don't want to hear it, but this $5,000 would not go to the beautification partners. It would go directly to
nobody said that,
Media.
Colby.
Sorry?
Nobody said it. We don't know where it's going.
Okay. All right. Wait.
If you stop
Can
interrupting.
I have the floor for 1 minute, please?
ahead,
Because I understand. Look, I understand Jonathan's frustration. I understand Tessa's frustration. The rest of the board, or at least the majority of the board, is aware of the banners. When we spoke in November, the motion that was put on the agenda back in November was pending quotes. We did it as a place mark to earmark some money, possibly to go to this banner program. I have heard nothing but excitement and joy from every board member, including all the people on the GAC meeting, that everyone, including Kelly Cole, who's a past outreach chair, who said, I think this banner is a great idea. So I'm not hearing from anyone that people don't want the banners. All the banners were back in November was an idea. In December, we were dark. In January, we started talking to the city and looking for quotes to find out what it would cost to do the banners. This was done by one person who was a resident of Toluca Lake. that went out and met with these various entities to get information. She came back and said, here's what I know. Then a small group of volunteers from various people in Toluca Lake said, great, let's run with this. Let's see if we can get this done. The time is of the essence. January 1st is the 100th anniversary. We just want to get these banners done to decorate Riverside Drive so it will feel like a celebration. Everybody we talked to was excited. We worked with the city. The city said, yes, we think we can get this done. We will even pay for the permits because it's a wonderful event. So we backed out the price of the permits. We decided that the amount was doable without even GTLNC being part of it. It was a certain amount. If we backed out the permits, we could maybe get this done if we sponsored each poll. So the small group of people that were working on this said, let's see if we can pin some of the polls. Would you, Robin Allen, would you consider buying a poll for this amount of money? Yes, I will do it. So we made a small list. We reached out to people we knew in every walk of Toluca Lake. They all kind of committed. We didn't collect any money. All we did was just reach out to people. In the meantime, now we're into January. January, we still didn't have anything secured. We now have found a designer, a local resident who created the banner program, which Colby can bring up in just a second, with the beautiful banners that are created that will say Toluca Lake 100. It says village sponsor. It has people's names or businesses. It has the city logo on it because the city is paying for our permits. And of course, we want to acknowledge the city. And initially, GTLNC was placed logo on every banner, every single one, because you were so incredibly responsive. Yes, we want to donate up to $5,000. So we put your logo on every banner. And then all of this talk, and believe me, I understand your frustration because we don't meet in person. Tess, I don't run into you on the street anymore. We wouldn't have a conversation about this. You only know what you hear when we get to these meetings. You could have picked up the phone. You could have called me directly. We could have had a great conversation. The only reason Ren knew what was going on at the GAC meeting is because we had had a conversation about it, about the banners. So I totally understand your frustration. Of course you were in the dark. We're all on Zoom. We never see each other. This is the only board I've ever been on where it's never met in person. We don't know each other. I didn't even know somebody like Freddie Berry came up to me at an event and said, hi, I'm Freddie Berry. I said, oh my God, this is what you look like. It was so fun to see somebody in person. So this board is very dysfunctional, not because we're not nice people. It's because we don't get together. You don't know what kind of person I am. So of course you're not going to trust my motives.
That's
But-
not that.
Wait,
That's
can I, wait,
don't-
wait, I have a
don't-
question. Wait, I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
What is happening? Because all I know, I'm not part of any of these conversations.
Yes.
All it says on the agenda for this is Toluca Lake 100th anniversary banners. We've already voted for the $5,000. Is there going to be a motion that's going to be on next month's agenda? What is the purpose of this?
Well, here's the caveat to this whole thing. The banners are being sold. We have a map, which was sent to Tess. You got a copy of it, I heard. It has the polls earmarked all the way to Camarillo. And yesterday, myself and another person took all these flyers and we went into West Toluca Lake. We went to every business that we could deem, dentists, restaurants, whatever. We went all the way down North Hollywood Toyota to ask if people would buy a poll. Most of the polls in certain areas are sold out. We are doing great. We have a deadline of February 28th. The banners are going to be created and installed by April 1st. And on April 1st, if all goes well, we will look like we're having 100th anniversary.
But what is the purpose of this? Like, is there?
I don't know. I don't know. I think to answer some questions.
Sure, I can answer that, Matt. You know, there was a discussion, more information came forward at our Government Affairs Committee meeting. And I was asked to put this on the agenda for the general board. And Robin, you're using the word mistrust. Nobody has said that.
Well, that's how I feel. That is how I feel.
Okay, well, I can't help your feelings, but it's fair to ask for information.
Of course.
And it's fair to receive it. Okay.
But I think, but hey, if I might say though, I mean, that might not be the intention or his intention, but it certainly is coming off that way. And I'm not even a part of this.
But I'm still confused. What is the purpose? What are we trying to get out of tonight?
Well, okay, I'm going to move forward and do a screen share. Okay, because I got to move this forward.
Well, it looks like we have some questions from the public.
Well, I'm going to screen share right now.
And that'll help because you'll be able
to, you know what? We're just going to be talking in circles until I start moving this forward with more information. We can just talk about the old stuff, or we can talk about new stuff. What do you want to do? I'm going to screen share and show you
Colby,
guys.
we are being cooperative, so
well,
you don't have to be that way.
Okay, let's see. We got entire screen. Share. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So here are, let me see. Do you see that? Might be delayed.
No, it's there. It's there.
Okay.
No, we got it.
Robin, go ahead, and Robin, you can explain it better than I can.
Okay. So this beautiful design is a mock-up of what the banners are going to look like. And unless the city comes back and says, because they have been submitted, you know what, the swan is too big, the logo's too small, whatever they decide to say, this is what the banners are going to look like. They're multiple colors. The gold ones at the beginning are what we call fillers. Let's just say we don't have enough poles sold. A banner would fill that space so that there's not empty holes. And those banners at the moment are the city logo and the GTLNC logo. Now, all the other banners that are in colors have sponsor names. It says village sponsor. And you could see Gary Marshall Theater. It says Generals, Foreman's Tavern. So those are, when you purchase a pole, it's a certain cost for businesses and a certain cost for legacy families. So there are a lot of people who've lived here a long time who feel a great pride for the community and want to put their name on a banner. The neighborhood council could, and this is a caveat to having your name, Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council, put on a colored banner. We could charge the neighborhood council the cost of what it would be to create the banner. So you would be getting for up to $5,000, whatever that might cost. It might be 20 banners. Those banners.
It's 40. Here's the invoice. Can you see that? Everyone?
Okay, so the banners for cost,
yes.
Neighborhood council could purchase, let's say 20 banners. Those banners would have GTLNC written on as a village sponsor. You're getting it at cost, not at the price that the community is paying. And your money would go directly to the vendor, this Gold Metropolitan Media, which is a city sanctioned vendor. And that way, those 20 poles can say Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. That is one way that the neighborhood council can be represented on the banners.
And we have it says here 44 banners, 22 polls, $5,000. And the money
this
would
would
go
be
directly to
directly.
Gold Metropolitan Media.
Any questions about the
Okay,
design?
now I'll take some questions. I saw Joanne had her hand up.
And
earlier.
Colby, you might want
Hi,
to turn
Joanne.
on screen share.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yes, hi. I really wanted to hear, as a stakeholder, I wanted to hear Jonathan's presentation. It was obviously important enough to him to, and to Tess, to the committee to present it. But with the constant interruptions and then timing him, which is, strange. I didn't get to hear it, and I think everyone wants to hear it. Even if it's an uncomfortable conversation, it's a conversation and we have a right to hear it. So I would like to have that information if it's possible, Jonathan. I don't know, you could email me or anything, because I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'll listen. And then you let Robin could just go on and 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 on, untimed. And just, she could say whatever she wants and defensive and all this stuff. And, I just find, it's just, I find it odd. It just, you're saying what people questioning motives, but when you act like that and the way you're acting, Robin, yeah, I mean, that's going to make me question motives. I didn't even know there was any, they were talking about, if they're talking about you or I don't even know, but the way you're acting tonight, now I really want to know what's going on. I really want that information. And I think the rest of the community would too. So thank you.
Irene?
Yes, my comment is also on the banner situation. I don't know who Robin was referring to when she said we went out, because obviously there's some people who don't even know what was really going on here. And why did the board not reach out to each other? The phone rings both ways. You may feel like you have to ring the phone to someone more than the other person, but to shut someone out because you say, hey, you didn't call me, is not part of being part of a board. The disconnect of the project between the board members' knowledge of what the project was. It sounds like there is a lack of procedure here, and there is a disregard for each other, and it's not becoming. You don't wear it well, it doesn't look pretty. Thank you.
Thank you. And Matt.
Okay, I'm going to say this one more time. I am so confused. Tess, please inform me. What is the point of all of this? Because I'm a big fan of the banners. I think they're great. So is it because they're not West enough? What is the point of this conversation?
The point is that I was asked to put it on the agenda so that the new information could be shared. That's the point.
What is the new information and what are we trying to do?
Well, we tried to share it, but we've been given a time limitation. And Jonathan, would you like to continue?
It seems like there's more. There's something that's not being said here. Can somebody just please say what the issue is?
Kevin, could you?
But I mean, it seems like this is all set up. It just feels so set up. Like, can we just get to the point?
Kevin, it's not set up. It's fair to ask questions.
Feels set up.
Okay, well, it isn't. All right.
Okay.
And because some board members were in the dark, and questions are being asked, so it's fair to ask them. Jonathan, if you want to go ahead, I'd appreciate it.
I just want to remind everyone, Colby is running this meeting. It's not for us to decide. We're supposed to ask for recognition from Colby in order to speak, not just talk to each other. That's the way it's supposed to work under parliamentary procedure. So it gets out of order right away. In any case, I'm happy I'm not here to ruin your lives. I mean, the personalization of this is unbelievable. It's a business. You're talking about banners. Here, maybe if you could understand this statement, oh, I just love my new car. What's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with it. I'm completely happy with it. But are you happy with the fact that maybe the wheels are stolen? I said earlier, no one seems to be paying attention to it because you're really, as long as you're focused on Toluca Lake Village, you're perfectly comfortable. Our duty is to make sure this is a community-wide project and no part of Greater Toluca Lake is prejudiced against. Now, I've already told you, there's been a letter of solicitation in West Toluca Lake. You should be asking questions. Well, was an equal solicitation of polls performed in other areas? In other words, is the community being brought together by the leadership over this project, or is it being fragmented? Is discrimination occurring? I also talked about the fact that there seems to be a non-disclosure. Some board members are involved. I went online and it took me a whole of 3 minutes to see the extent of 2 board members in the garden club. Neither of those 2 members have disclosed the fact that they are members of that club. That's very important information, I think. And I can't even imagine that you think that that's not appropriate to delve into. But of course, if your goal is to simply get what you want for Greater Toluca Lake, for the village area, the history of this neighborhood council says that by default, the concentration of resources goes to the village. That's a problem because the problems are dispersed. Thank you.
So I'm very confused, Jonathan. So it sounds like you're saying that, well, first of all, I don't know what the garden club has to do with this $5,000 going to Gold Metropolitan Media to put up 44 banners between Camarillo and Clybourne. I don't understand. The money isn't touching the garden club. The money is not touching beautification partners. I don't understand. And
may I answer?
Jonathan, please enlighten me how this $5,000 is going to go into beautification partners. Please enlighten me how this $5,000 is going into or touching the garden club members.
Going back to our training, okay, ethics.
So what ethics are being violated here? You
want to narrow it to the $5,000. That's not at all the way this project worked. The way the project works, let me answer. You said what? The question is, what is the problem with garden club being part of this, since the money's going to someone else? Well, if the vice president is a member of the garden club and the vice president is the one marketing this project to the neighborhood council, then the neighborhood council has a duty, a fiduciary duty to understand the vice president's relationship to one of the entities that's behind this. It's just called transparency.
Behind it? I don't understand. How do you mean behind it?
Are they not involved? In other words, I was told, again, I didn't want to bring the information forward as if I generated it. It's coming from a different, I wanted to give you the source. You don't want to hear it.
I do want to hear it. Tell me.
No, you told me not to.
Tell me, get me on camera, get me on tape of me being unethical. Go ahead. I'll give you the time right now. Pull it up. I won't time you. I want to hear me being unethical on camera.
All right. Before I do this, I just want to remind everyone, Colby's in charge of these meetings, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Colby, I'm perfectly willing to cooperate if you wanted me to go ahead and do that. I think it's in the best interest.
It is in the best
interest. It's 5,000 is not a lot of money for our personal budgets, but it's a significant part of the neighborhood council.
I'm asking you to pull up the video, pull up the tape. Please.
Okay. By the way, I did go back in history of other neighborhood councils as far back as 2012. There were significant problems in other neighborhood councils because of the percentage of the budget. Okay, let me.
We want to hear the tape.
So much a council project that it isn't an NPG. There's no, to our knowledge, to my knowledge, there isn't any external organization involved in this street dinner project. But you heard in that last general meeting, the vice president was convinced that it's a community project on the laps of her committee, which she wouldn't tell us who the committee was. So it's just feeling real conflict rated. It's supposed to be well organized. Evidently, this is a large ticket item. We were never really given any of the information we needed to make a sensible vote. We voted on trust. It's simply impossible to say anyone voted on anything but trust because the information was lacking. I'm speaking specifically about the street dinner project. As information has come in, meaning not being provided necessarily, but information I've gotten out of city council and out of the LAMC, the municipal code, it's come increasingly clear to me that this is really a big deal, this sort of project. And I'm wondering if we have the leadership for this sort of thing. And before the money is sent in somebody's arena, other than the council, I kind of think we have a duty to talk about it and make a decision. What makes sense? I mean, Brent, do you think that we have leadership in this neighborhood council to manage this street banner project?
Absolutely not. Let me just, and this whole project should absolutely not be a GTLNC project.
This is perhaps what's so confusing, and probably several of us at this meeting want this project to succeed. Maybe you can help us understand what wasn't disclosed to us.
I'm sorry, what was disclosed or not?
What was not disclosed to us? Because I don't know anyone else involved in this other than the two people I've heard talk about it, Robin and Shannon. Who else is involved in this? And you just said that the community is already involved in.
Well, I think the Chamber of Commerce and the Homeowners Association are the prime. There are people within that, and then the Garden Club. Those three groups have people who are working together to put this together. And I think Robin is the lead person on this, and she's the one who's been out setting this all up. She's the one who set up the banners. But
I mean, I think
it would have been nice. You're right. You're probably right. It would have been nice if the board members who were presenting this, made a little more of an effort to explain who was doing it, how they were doing it, how the money was going to get spent. When you say nobody knows about it, I think there's a wide range of people who are active in the community who know about it. People who are involved with, again,
nobody on the board, nobody on this committee.
I can't say nobody on the board because a number of the people who are involved in this are on the board. So
she means by vehicle of the board. Meaning, if you know about it, it's because you're participating in these other entities.
Another way, correct.
There was never any mention, and I attend all these meetings.
Yeah, I mean, Ren, we didn't get these details at the board meeting, and they were quite, there were questions. So,
I'm sorry the questions weren't asked at the meeting.
They were most definitely asked. In fact, Jonathan was sort of, it was implied that he was being, problematic simply for asking questions, which,
in a way, that's the way.
Ren, for example, like you said, board members should get the information that they require, and if they don't want to vote for something, they shouldn't vote for it. I voted for this because it's a good project, and I want it to succeed. And I agreed in my own head I would trust the vice president.
I don't want to sit through this. Kobe, I don't want to sit through this anymore.
In the subsequent meeting, I asked the vice president, in my effort to understand that it is in fact a community-wide project, because that's my concern, that it be community-wide. And the motion was amended, whether or not they actually wrote it.
Colby,
Jonathan.
You can't.
This is ridiculous.
Jonathan, can you?
Can I just say one thing? A raise of hands.
No. Hold on, Robin. I'm going to speak.
Do you want this banner to have GTLNC on it? If you do, and you're all for it, great. If you don't, no harm, no foul. We'll move forward. The GTLNC won't be represented in the 100th anniversary, and that's okay. That's okay. But if you want to move forward with it, let's not talk about what you didn't know. Let's talk about what you do know now And are you interested in going forward? That's it.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to, again, I'm sorry to, I know it's your meeting, Colby. I do, but this has been hijacked and I'm getting really tired of it. The reason, let me just say for the record, the reason why I'm not running again, by the way, is because of people like Jonathan that are ruining this for me. So here's my question. Do we have a motion that's going to come up, that's going to revisit this decision that we passed $5,000? Because if that's the case, that's going to go on next month's agenda, not tonight. So is that the whole purpose of this, to revisit the vote? Is that it?
It was simply put on GAC.
Correct.
And
there's nothing on
as a point of discussion. And I'm going to talk to Dunn and see if it's even required to do another motion for a vote, or if, because we're not doing an MPG, we're not working through beautification partners. This should be $5,000 directly sent to Gold Metropolitan Media for these banners to be put up. It's independent of the other groups in Greater Toluca Lake. It's independent of beautification, independent of Garden Club. That's how it is. And so, I mean, that's what it is. You saw the invoice. You saw a mock-up of the banners. I don't know what else. You know, it's so difficult to get this stuff done. And truly, I'm ready to just say, forget it. You know, we don't want GTLNC, as Robin said, you know, up there on the banners. Fine. You know, it all started like 2 years ago when I drove through it was Thousand Oaks, or no, it was Encino, I think, and they had these banners up advertising their neighborhood council. What a great idea. Now I'm really thinking, what a horrible idea. Apparently it is. So, you know.
Colby?
Yes.
Colby, it's Shannon. I'm having a problem with my phone with the raising a hand, but since I've been working on this also, my feeling right now is I say give the 5,000 back, because it's stopping our energy, you know, and we're doing such a good job, and I'm really proud of what we've done. And I'm from the Chamber of Commerce. It has nothing to do with the Chamber of Commerce. My chamber people are like, what's going on? I let them know, but I just feel like you guys keep the $5,000 and let's just do a great project and let's move forward, because this is just, we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Our GTLNC won't be outreach. That's all it is. It was outreach. It's sort of like the little logo we put on these we call it the Cancer Society shop. You know, it's great. But if it's such an ordeal to move forward, when this is clearly not a part of another community project, another community organization, we're simply participating in the rental of these poles. You know, I don't know. I just can't. You know, I don't think we can move forward. But that's it. Okay.
Fred, can I say something really quick? I've had my hand up for a while. I'll be very fast. I would like to know, Robin, maybe how can I sponsor one of these banners, get my company name on it?
Reach out to me, Fred. I'll send you the information. We're trying to get these sold by February 28th, which gives you to next Tuesday.
Okay.
They're going to be created, and they're going to go up April 1st, and we'd love to have you.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think they look terrific. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Tess, that's done. What else? GAC, anything else?
That's the only item on the agenda. Jonathan, did you want to have a closing thought on this?
I would simply say there appears not to be any ownership over the leadership, the quality of the leadership regarding this project. In other words, it sounds like a bunch of spoiled brats who say if rather than take responsibility for what may not have been done correctly, they would rather say, oh, well, if you don't want it, we won't do it. There's just no personal responsibility. That's your right. You don't have to be responsible. You get to get away with it. I don't care. Thank you.
All right. I'm confused, but okay. All right. New business.
You know, if you're confused, I will say, if you review this meeting in a recording, you will see that stakeholder who pointed out the huge disparity of indulgence on people who are predisposed for investing all of the resources in the village, and they're fairly well identifiable, and looking beyond any of their criticism. It's pretty noteworthy. But, you know, Colby, you're in charge of the meeting, and I respect the institution of a neighborhood council. We have to work with what we've got, and this isn't particularly fair, but it's a good project. You know, Robin has my vote on that one. It's a very good project. It had very poor leadership quality. Thank you.
And Jonathan, I just want to address that you said a few things that, everything goes towards the village and all this. I know it maybe felt that way in the past, but one of the reasons why I really did lobby and wanted you on this board was for more representation from West Toluca Lake. And I just want to say that again, that my biggest goal for these past 2 years is to bridge this gap. And I was hoping this banner project would do so, because a lot of these banners would end up in West Toluca Lake. But it's just too difficult to do what we're doing, and it's just too difficult. There's just not enough energy and time in our lives to to do everything that has to be done the way everyone wants it done all the time. So that's it.
Colby, I'd like to make one more comment, please. I want to be very transparent. I am in the Garden Club. I'm a member of the Toluca Lake Beautification Partners as an advisory volunteer position. I am head of the Neighborhood Watch. I am also in the Neighborhood Council. I am also, anytime any organization has any activity or anything that goes on in the community for the last 30 years, I am the first one to sign up to help. I have helped at turkey trots and open houses and Earth Day and anything anybody needs my help with. I am free and happy to do it. Jonathan, I live here. I walk here every single day for 30 years. Jonathan, I know you don't live here. You have property here. And until you can come here and walk by and see the neighbors and know what's going on and volunteer for anything, you do not have the right to put down the people that are here on the ground working. So you can say what you want, but you have offended me to the nth degree for all that I have stood for 30 years. And that's it.
All right, Matt, one more and then we're gonna.
One last question. So I want to get back to the purpose of this. Are we voting to put a motion on the agenda next month to take back the $5,000, or are we just leaving it and calling it a day? That's all I want to know.
I haven't heard a motion open all night.
No motion
on this.
Yes,
so I don't know if there's going to be a motion, it needs to go through the governmental affairs next time. And when that means,
I was just going to, we can't recall that vote. It's from November. We can only recall a vote from the next meeting. So if the vote had been recalled, it would have been called, and well, we didn't have a December meeting, but so we can't recall the vote. It's possible that the wording is vague enough that it wasn't what I'm saying is I'll talk to Dunn and seeing, how we proceed from here, since we look like we're not going to proceed with the banners because it's just too difficult.
Wait. I'm not saying we're not. I'm not saying.
We
have to take a vote to not move forward with the $5,000. You can't just decide.
I think so. Well, we can't. I got to talk to Dunn and see what we do right now from here, because we voted on, to move forward with the banners.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if what we voted upon is enough to facilitate the fulfillment of a purchase order to Gold Metropolitan Media. This invoice we have here. I'm not sure.
May I speak,
yes,
Mr. Chair? So yes. I am not proposing at this time to rescind the money or to not do the banners. The question was, I was asked to put this on the agenda, and we discussed it quite vigorously at Government Affairs to understand more information. And the challenge has been the process, not the person, but the process. And we need to just make sure that when we're dealing with taxpayer funds, that we're appropriately following, the ethics and the funding training. So it's always fair to ask questions, and people shouldn't feel defensive about that. And that's all I will say. So, and
Well, that would be true if that presentation that Jonathan did not feel like you were attacking. So
Okay.
that's great. And clarification is always wonderful. And again, we are an open book. This is about the better good of the community. It has nothing to do with me personally. I'm just trying to facilitate this information so that you are clear as to what was going on. But again, there is such bad taste in the room right now, it's hard to move forward. So, unfortunately, I believe that at this point, the GTLNC will not be represented on these banners, which is a tragedy because they are equally as important to our community as any other organization or resident. And at this point, you have made it very clear that you didn't trust the process. And all it was a grassroots group of people who got together and did the work. And now we're being,
Yeah. So okay, Lewis.
Look, hearing everything that's happening here, I think Matt has a really good point. I actually don't think if we put it to a vote that people would decide to not spend the money. So I think that, I agree with everything that Robin is saying. I think, and I understand, Tessa's point about looking at the transparency of the process, but we clearly, obviously have gotten a great presentation tonight on what's happening. I think it's very hard to look at that picture of those banners and say, we don't want to see those go up with our logo. And I say, quite frankly, here's where we are. It stinks that this is how we got here, but I have a feeling we put it on the agenda next month. We're still moving forward. That's just my.
Thank you, Lewis. I want back to Jonathan. Jonathan, so what questions do you have for me about clarity, about ethics, about procedure, about this motion? Jonathan Gregory.
If I had to tell you what concerns me the most is this personal attack toward me. Many of the board members are very self-righteous. I can't reprogram people. This is just the way you come to the table. I'm willing to listen. I don't need to change it. It doesn't upset me. I'm not upset. I've been around the world, and I'm probably older than most of you. Nevertheless, it's not at all pretty to watch when people they simply do not ingest information. They turn it into a personal attack. I don't like to have people publicize where I am. No, none of you have the right to address where I live. That these are things that are out of the scope of the neighborhood council. I'm surprised, Colby, that you didn't call that out of order. Some of these remarks are completely out of order. Matt came and made a couple. Robin said a couple. When they turn personal, it's not necessary. I don't get personal with anyone here. I talk about what you did having to do with the business of the neighborhood council. I never left that subject. It's the business.
So let's keep exploring that subject. So what else?
Well, it's nice to say it now, but you didn't say it before, and it was off track, and it did happen. So I recommend everyone sit down and watch the video and take a hard look at each of our performances. It's supposed to be about the business and protecting the interests of the stakeholders. In this case, it's the money. I actually like the project. I don't know why you can't understand that. It's a good project. As Tess said, it's the process. It's the lack of transparency. It really is that. And that's
but how about tonight? I mean, when I showed you, I've told you that we're not going through another organization to do this. I've showed you the screen share of the invoice from the vendor to which the money will go. So I want to talk to you right now and the other board members about how we feel and how we think about this new information that we're digesting this evening.
In a favorable note, my recommendation, putting all of the negativity aside, because it's about the business, it's about the stakeholders, not about our feelings. That is not what we're here for. I think it's in the best interest of the stakeholders to find a way out of this abyss, this hole we've got ourselves into. And there have been a few good, healthy comments, one from Louis, that if you take some, it's always healthy to take a time out. When things get difficult, take a time out, think it through. It's on the mirror. We have to go back to that mirror report and agree. The problem with that mirror report is that notation that was put down on the bottom. If you read the motion itself is pending quotes. We never got the quote until, I don't know if that piece of paper you showed, the invoice, is the quote at this point.
That's the quote. That's the quote.
Okay. So, I mean, I haven't seen that before.
I just received the quote today.
It wasn't posted is what I was going to say. Yeah.
It wasn't posted. No.
So perhaps, you know, one of the things that was missing from this process was certainly a special meeting, if that was necessary, is to kind of cram down everyone's throat. I don't like that expression, but, you know, nevertheless, I was willing to indulge it by voting for it. The information didn't come in the right order, in the right manner. Nevertheless, all put aside, Robin, it is a good project. It's beautiful, all right? But it's got to be done transparently. Otherwise, it's correct that there'd be an outlash. I think you had a duty to make a declaration as to what your involvement. I also saw online, there's another board member in here, has never said anything. I only heard in the whole process the word stupid. Colby, when people say something that's inappropriate, it ought to be a point of order taken. That these are disagreeable behaviors and they ought to be noted at the moment, not later. Nevertheless, I think it's a good project. And I think perhaps if we just take if we need to call a special meeting, I'm agreeable to attend a special meeting. There's a possibility to get it back on track, but I think it needs transparency. There are some very intelligent board members here who are perfectly capable of assessing whether this is in the best interest.
One more thing, you're saying transparency. So ask me a question or ask Robin a question. I mean, when you say you need transparency, it's almost insinuating that we're not being transparent enough.
Only there's transparency now after all of this.
Because we didn't have the answers. You understand? When we started this process, I didn't know if we were going to go an NPG route with beautification partners. During the time when I'm not on meetings with you guys, I talk to city attorneys, I talk to Dunn, I talk to other people, and I figure out, oh, you're right, that might be an issue. It might not be a good idea that we go through an NPG.
In any case,
what we do, let me finish. So then we figure other ways to do it. We think, okay, that's not as appropriate. So therefore, we're going to pay the vendor directly and not get beautification partners involved with us. So again, don't say you need transparency and then leave the conversation. Tell me what you want to know. I'm right here.
When I say I'm speaking in retro and retroactively, there wasn't transparency. There's an effort here in this board to pretend it was a transparent process.
We didn't have the answers. It wasn't like a transparency. We didn't know what we were.
I'm going to repeat. We didn't even know there were other organizations involved because there were only two people presenting. The reason you have the sensation there was transparency is because a lot of the board members were getting the information in what was non-compliant Brown meetings. There were more than 3 board members who were completely fluent in all of this subject matter, and it wasn't through any of the activity of the neighborhood council. That's non-compliant. And I sent you that letter on the day after the meeting in November to point that out to you, that's exactly what happens is the board members think it's all transparent, who are getting all the information in non-compliant manner. I attended all the meetings. I didn't know any of this, and I don't socialize with anyone here. And that's pure evidence that something's awry. Nevertheless, I don't expect some board members to be willing to accept the fact that wrongdoing occurred. There is a lot of wrongdoing. Nevertheless, it's a good project. Talking about the project, I think if everyone take a moment off, maybe you and I, Colby, can talk, but if it's possible to get the project back on track and the board members want it, I'm not against that. What I am against is impropriety. I'm against a lack of ethics. I'm against that kind of behavior, not protecting the stakeholders' interests. I'm against being pejorative toward any part of Greater Toluca Lake. When I heard Robin I don't know if Robin did the same solicitation to other parts of Toluca Lake. or West Toluca Lake or Greater Toluca Lake. Did West Toluca Lake get singled out? I don't know that, but it's my duty to make sure that no part of town gets treated differently or inordinately. It's everyone's duty to do that.
All right, I got Irene, Kevin, and then Ren, and then we got to move on to something else. Okay.
Okay,
Irene.
in closing, Colby, thank you for holding this holding the meeting tonight, and to all the council members. I can see now going forward that I am sure that all of you are going to open up communications with each other to avoid situations of backtracking and trying to catch up during these meetings when you should all be up to abreast with each other. And I think that will help all of you move along and move smoothly with the projects that you're doing, and let each other know who you're soliciting to help as volunteers, and just go forward and, put your personal feelings aside and just go on forward as professionals, because your personal feelings are really taking your energies from you. And I think that it's great that that you all can get together in these positions and work to create a beautiful community of the greater Toluca Lake area, all of Toluca Lake. I've lived here not as long as most of you. I've only been here about 25 years. It's not very long, but I happen to like it, and that's why I'm still here. And I do like some of the projects that have been going on, and I appreciate all of your efforts. And the contention has just got to stop. It just has to. We're all adults here. Alrighty? So thank you very much in allowing me to participate in your meeting this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Irene. Hi, Ren, and this will be it. I think I don't see anyone else.
Yeah, I want to apologize to the board members. At the GAC meeting, I tried to explain some things that I thought would be helpful, and they've been used against me and against people who are trying to put the project together, and I'm sorry for that. I'm not sorry for my comment about could this project have been done by the GTLNC, because I think this meeting is proof that the GTLNC could not have gotten this together in the short period of time that the opportunity presented itself. And I think it's good that we supported it. It helped get it going, I think. But at this point, if a majority of the board members feel that somehow something was inappropriate, then we should try to recover the $5,000 in one way or another. I'd hate to have to pay it myself, but I think it belongs. Our logo belongs in the greater picture there of all of the different businesses and community organizations that have been around in Toluca Lake and working for Toluca Lake for a long time. So I'd like to see us have our banners there, GTLNC. But if a majority of you feel that somehow it was not handled properly, or that there was somehow a backhanded or underground thing that went on, then then you should all withdraw the money. And I won't vote on one way or the other, because I think I'm too far in the middle of it. But anyway, I'm sorry if any of you were offended by what I said at the GAC meeting.
No, Ren, but thank you.
Okay, we're going to move. Believe it or not, we're actually going to move on to Arthur. Arthur, you still here?
I am.
Here. Uh-oh.
So
did we lose
if you
Arthur?
can
Oh, good. Hi, Arthur. Yes, I
allow
will
me to share, yeah.
get you. Yes. Okay.
Okay. So we have a motion on the agenda. Motion B, approve the January 2023 MERN expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Do we have a first?
Shannon.
A second?
Sean.
Okay. So we had finished December with $25,804. We had $1,192 in operating expenses, and those included $906 to Apple One, $102 to Google, $150 to Toluca Lake Mailbox for our mailbox there, and $34 for MailChimp, leaving us with an ending balance of $24,612. Do you have any questions or comments?
I don't see any hands raised. Oh, wait, Jonathan.
It's the notation at the bottom. Can you please address it? Thanks.
Sure. It says that $5,000 has been improved and encumbered for light pole banners. And that's just to notate that of the $24,000 that is available at the end of January, $5,000 of that was voted for in November. So net, if you factor that in, if we are going to do this, it's really $19,600 that's available.
Any other questions, Jonathan? Any more questions?
Not for me. Thank you.
I think you said no. Any hands up? If not, Arthur's going to bring this to a vote.
Okay, let's
go ahead, Arthur.
Bring this to a vote. Robin?
You need to read the motion one more
Oh,
time.
so sorry. Motion B, approve the January 2023 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Robin?
Yes.
Arthur? I'm a yes. Lewis?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Ren?
Yeah.
Fred?
Professor Theodore von Karman was doing some
Fred,
pioneering work with
He's talking.
experiments in Chrome random so on the campus of Caltech.
Matt?
Yes.
Undergrad student.
B. Jameson?
That's affirmative.
Karman had also been assigned
One second. Freddie Barry looks like he fell off and he's trying to sign back in. Can you please sign him back in, Colby?
Yeah, let me grab him.
Okay. Susan?
Yes.
Jonathan? Jonathan Gregory?
Yes.
Tess?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And is Fred back on?
Fred is yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And Colby.
I'm a yes.
Oh, and
Yes.
Colby, sorry.
Yep. Yes. I lost track counting what I brought Fred on, but I think it's 1, 2.
14.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, no, Jake doesn't vote. He actually left the meeting, by the way. So, okay, for 14 yeses, is that what?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Arthur. All right. New business. Anyone have any new business? Please raise your hand. I don't see any, hear any. So with that, I'll call a meeting to a close at 9:40 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Sometimes the difficult meetings can turn out to be the best ones long term. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And I look forward to getting back in person. I think we're all going to communicate much better when we see each other in person and communicate that way more effectively. And I want to thank everyone for their thoughts and for caring so much about this community. I really do. I you know, sometimes we go off the rails a little bit, but it just shows that we're very passionate. And so I think that's overall a good thing. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.